This is a photo of the oldest commercial coal mine in the United States of America. And it was started in the 1730s near Richmond, Virginia. And since then we've had over almost 3 centuries of commercial coal mining in the United States. This is just the first example. But since that initial mine in the 1730s in Virginia, coal has played a very, very consequential role in some of the most significant events in this country over the past 300 years. Coal from that first commercial mine in Virginia was used to actually heat the White House as early as Thomas Jefferson's administration. And coal, which powered steam engines to run trains and produce electricity, literally made the American Industrial Revolution a possibility. Coal also fueled the American Revolutionary War effort. Some people don't realize that coal was crucial as early as the 1780s in terms of our war efforts. And it was used to cheaply make weapons and supplies. And as most people have heard, the cheap electricity afforded by the burning of actually primarily Appalachian coal also powered the factories and machines that made victory in World War I and World War II possible. Now, this narrative of coal and its necessity to American history is a story many people in this room have probably heard before. But this narrative only tells half of the story. This story, the one that has captured headlines over the past century, forgets that before coal can be turned into energy, it has to be extracted. So, my presentation today is about some of the footnotes to the coal headline narrative as has been told to us over the past 100 years. While coal has been burned to power primarily visible urban areas, coal operators were mining coal in rural areas, and they were leaving these coal mines abandoned for almost 300 years. And because these mines were located sort of out of sight and out of mind of those that have power and wealth, these abandoned mines have accumulated over the years in primarily poor rural areas, especially in central Appalachia, since the 1730s. These abandoned mines have massive effects on the environment. They have an effect on the economy. In fact, they literally destroy and pollute and damage land, water, and they pose threats to literally lives and livelihoods. So if you have a high wall, the picture in the bottom left is a coal mine, an abandoned coal mine site. If you have a high wall and a house underneath that, and it's going to collapse on someone's house, I mean, you have lives in danger in some cases. Also, abandoned mines have impeded over the years the ability of local economies to develop because people don't want to live or work in communities that are polluted by abandoned mines. So as a result, there are currently 6.1 million acres worth of abandoned mine problems in the United States. That's roughly the size of Delaware, Massachusetts, and Washington, D.C., and these are just the sites that we know about. Now, in response to all of these problems, and at the impetus of grassroots organizations in the 70s and even in the 60s and before that, Congress passed the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act of '77, which created a program to reclaim abandoned mines, and this is a picture of Jimmy Carter signing that act. Now, the AML program is effective and on target in the sense that it's a governmental program that forces the coal industry to finance the cost of reclaiming the mines that they left abandoned, that they actually left abandoned for communities to deal with over the past 300 years, while they were making sums of money on coal. The effects of these abandoned mines are best understood as a legacy cost of coal mining and of producing coal. And so this program it's on target in the sense that the coal industry is finally paying for these legacy costs through the AML fee that they're paying on every ton of coal that they currently produce in the United States. So it's on target in that sense, but its scale is not right. This is the total acreage of abandoned mine sites that have been reclaimed in the United States since '77. Roughly the size of Rhode Island, so it's tiny. It's just 800,000 acres. So one problem that we have is the scope that's left remaining. We have a program in place, but it's not perfect. Another salient problem facing our region is the massive and unprecedented, really, recent coal job loss in Central Appalachia. In just 3 years, since 2012, we've seen over 10,000 coal jobs lost in just 4 states: Tennessee, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Virginia. The 4 Central Appalachian states. And this has led to a serious economic distress throughout our region. So at the beginning of this fellowship, some great minds had the idea, and this was not me or my partner who worked on this, this was people before us who came up with this idea of creating an opportunity out of these 2 massive problems that I've outlined, the abandoned mines that we have left and the recent loss in coal jobs, to put displaced workers to work reclaiming abandoned mines, because they actually have lots of the skills needed to do that work, the earth-moving work that's required to actually reclaim these sites in our communities. So we saw this project as a perfect example of how to transition to a just economy in Appalachia by addressing unjust and unsustainable aspects of our region and actually creating opportunity out of the problems in our region. So this idea has been the basis of my fellowship over the past year, and I've been sponsored primarily by the Appalachian Citizens Law Center in East Kentucky, which is a nonprofit law firm that focuses primarily on black lung legal work, mine safety and whistleblower work, and environmental cases, and they charge no cost to their clients. So free legal service to people of the mountains. I've also been sponsored by Kentuckians for the Commonwealth, which is a statewide grassroots multi-issue organization, and MACED, which stands for Mountain Association for Community Economic Development, and that's sort of self-explanatory. They're a community and economic development organization focused on Appalachia. And one of the best parts of my fellowship has been the fact that it hasn't just been me working on this. I've worked with Kendall Bilbrey, who's going to go next and present, but it really hasn't been, I mean, we've sort of had a division of labor, but we work literally every day together on this project. So everything that I'm saying and that Kendall will say, we've both had a hand in. And Kendall's at the Alliance for Appalachia, which is why that was up there. So Kendall and I have jointly coordinated this AML project, and this project, and this slide really gets it to the core of what we've been doing over the past year. This project exists for 2 main reasons and 2 main goals. One, to understand how to improve the AML program in light of the goals and the problems that I just outlined. And we've done that through a rigorous 130-page policy document that has just been the bane of my existence and also kind of the joy sometimes, maybe. And the second goal and purpose has been to empower communities to really make the most of the AML program. And we've done that through a participatory research and action model, where at first we thought we would do research and then we would share that research and people would take action. But what we've realized is that if you're doing anything vaguely related to a policy project like this, what you want to use is a participatory model where you're constantly researching, talking with community members, educating them, they're educating you, and you're organizing all at the same time. It's just a constant process. So we've been doing that since last June when the fellowship started. And then in February, the Obama administration made this big announcement, which was a plan to distribute $1 billion of AML money to reclaim AML sites with economic development potential in the region. And that's not $1 million, that's $1 billion. That's a massive program, and because of our project and the work that we've been doing with communities, we've been able to steer this conversation regionally and nationally on this massive proposal because of the project that we already had sort of ongoing. When we've also been able to prioritize community needs in that conversation. In fact, one indicator of this is that we've had ongoing conversations and meetings with White House staff regarding how to make the Power Plus plan the best that it can be from the perspective of grassroots organizations. And the White House has been very, very receptive to our recommendations, and moving forward, we're very hopeful that we can get the Power Plus plan through and that it can look a way that's best for Central Appalachian communities. So there have been many great aspects of this project, but I think one way to summarize it is that it's a project, it's a case where a group of young Appalachian leaders took a very obscure, unknown, and complicated federal policy and created a campaign out of it that really has gained national relevance in just a single year. And that's just been astounding to be a part of that. So I want to close by noting that AML is far from the end-all and the be-all. This project, its greatest achievement is that it's helped build unlikely partnerships and alliances, and that's why I put up the faces at the bottom here. These are, frankly, all Republicans, and Republicans who probably wouldn't work with this on some progressive reform, but we're building alliances with those groups and those individuals and those types of groups, and we're alliances that we think will be useful moving forward for broader Appalachian transition efforts that we might not otherwise, be able to work with them on. And that, I think, is really useful. So the purpose of the App Fellows program, in my mind, is to lay movement infrastructure for Appalachia for the long haul. And I think the AML program, not just in its policy recommendations, but in the relationships that we built, have done that. And I think hopefully that has fulfilled what the Appalachian Fellowship is supposed to all be about.